Hello and welcome to Experience Share. It's a Pokemon podcast starring me, Tan Mega.
Yan Mega.
A.k.a. Tanner Greenring. And I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Garchomp. And we are joined as sometimes, for the second time,
wow,
and hopefully not the last time, by Tony Kiss.
Oh, thank you.
Togekiss? Togekiss?
Yeah, look.
Togekiss.
How did they say it?
I've always said Tony Kiss.
Tony Kiss.
Which is like that. It's easy.
It's Tony Kiss, that's right. Sorry, why was I saying it wrong? It's Tony Kiss.
A.k.a. Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show.
It's really, really great to be back. I have been looking forward to this since the first time I was on.
Were you on the final Elite Four episode last time, too?
I was the season finale guest last time. I'm the season finale guest this time. I'd call myself a big bad, except I'm extremely easy to vanquish, but it's really nice to be here.
The same thing that happened last time is all we can already say is happening this time too, where we had so much banter that we had to split it up into 2 episodes, and we already know that's happening because none of us understood how fucking wild Battle Zone is.
Yeah.
We're making the call now. That is going to be another episode after this.
We're going to be chasing waterfalls.
I was just reeling from the fact that you get to that island and basically an NPC you've never met before turns to you and is it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and you're like, what the fuck am I about to embark on?
They address you by name. They say, Anthony, welcome to the real game.
And that was the thing. They said Anthony, but that's not my name in the game, so how the fuck did they know?
Yeah.
Wow.
It gets pretty sophisticated after this point, but we're not going to dive into that quite yet because we got some Pokemon Platinum left to play. Anthony, what game are you playing?
I'm playing Platinum. I have played Diamond so many times that I figured it was time.
You're a known Sinnoh-head.
Oh, yeah. You're
I'm
the Sinnoh head.
I'm a very, very big Sinnoh head, and Platinum, I will say, I a bewildering experience, out of 10 is where I am right now. But I will say I thoroughly enjoyed the parts that I thoroughly enjoyed.
I also think I am a Sinnoh head. Mm-hmm. Having played the first 4 gens now, Sinnoh is definitely my favorite one.
I think that it is the tightest, and I think that in as much as the OU meta is the thing that informs my enjoyment of the game, which is I would say maybe 60% of it, I think that Sinnoh's meta was the most exciting. There are so many different tricks that you can have in your back pocket, and there are so many different weather it was really, really cool to see so many different kinds of things take off in Sinnoh. And on top of that, just I think that the Pokemon are really, really cool.
Yeah, lots of good Pokemon, lots of neat new mechanics, which we will explore this episode. We took advantage of a lot of weird stuff now that we got the National Dex. Well, Josh and I got the National Dex. It sounds like you struggled with that, Tony.
I didn't struggle with it so much as it wasn't a goal of mine, wasn't an immediate goal of mine. My goals were, my goal was getting a sweet TM from Battle Tower, which I did. So in a way, mission accomplished. Back to you in the studio, Tannel.
Well, I mean, we even said in the last episode, we didn't think we would be able to unlock the National Dex. It seemed insurmountable. And then by the time I was done with the Elite Four, I actually had 206 out of 210.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, same here.
So it was super easy.
Professor What's-His-Face, and he was like, you have 207 Pokemon. You only need 3 more. And I just had to figure out who those 3 were.
Yeah. I didn't think we'd be able to do that.
Yeah.
I guess because we went on a lot of meandering, side routes.
Talk to everyone, battle everyone.
I can see how, for the purposes of programming, you would get a wider Pokemon deck or Pokemon decks. Oof! Already an ownable offense. You get a higher Pokedex count than someone who is just trying to race through the game to the Elite Four to catch up with you fellas.
Well, you had plenty of warning. You knew you were coming on the show. You've known for some time.
Have I, though? Is that something that we discussed
known
literally
for
the last time?
generation or so?
Agree to disagree. This is under the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's just okay to not be okay.
Yeah, it's totally fine to not be okay.
And it's okay to not be productive,
yeah.
even if that includes just playing Pokemon.
I had to get the National Pokedex because one of Steve Human's drinking buddies, Mr. Cass, lost track of his wife in Snowpoint Temple. So he had to go into Snowpoint Temple to find his wife. So I needed the Pokedex to do that, the National Pokedex to do that. So
It's really nice of you.
yeah, she was in trouble, you know? She's as much of a party animal as Mr. Cass. So
And when they're together, wow.
yeah, you don't want to see those two together. Yeah.
Jesus.
Wow.
You got to hose them down and get them off each other sometimes.
It's true what they say. Love is love is love is love is love.
That's right.
And they do say it.
That's what we celebrate on this podcast.
Yeah. We started our journey, Josh and Tony, in Sunny Shore City. We have just taken on Volkner at Sunny Shore Gym, and we now have access to the Elite Four and Victory Road, and we can surf our way north.
Yeah.
And that is called Route 223, and it's a water route.
When you go to the North Beach of Sunny Shore, Jasmine from back in that's what is that, Gen 2? Is she Olivine?
What?
The gym leader? Jasmine? She talks to you on the beach?
Oh, I don't think I recognize that as someone I was
Wait,
supposed to.
that's who that is?
Yeah.
I don't think I recognize that as a person.
She introduces herself as Jasmine.
You're absolutely right.
She's got the same haircut.
I knew she looked familiar.
Olivine
I just
City,
couldn't
Steel.
place it. Yeah, I was just doing that thing where like she was talking to me like I was an old friend. So I was like, "All right, stranger, let's be friends." But no, you're absolutely right. I do know her, and we do go back 20 years. What a beautiful thing.
Yeah, she gives you the HM for Waterfall.
Right.
It's funny that this is the first time where they start bringing like just random characters from the other generations over to Sinnoh. Like this is a hot spot, even though it's like mostly cold region.
Oh yeah. In Victory Road, at some point, you encounter two like black belts who make a point of saying that they're from the Kanto region and have Kanto Pokemon, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
These guys are training in the mountains, which we know is a euphemism for masturbating. But before we
JOing.
get to these guys JOing, let's talk about Route 223. It's the only like required water route in the game, and it's not a long one. It's like they heard us. It's like our podcast echoed back through time to when they were developing Pokemon Platinum, and they're like, okay, no more water routes.
Right.
The game creators are addicted to water routes where like you just encounter Tentacruel after Tentacruel. And I don't know what it is, but like ever since childhood, something about the way that like swimmers move around in the water makes me more stressed out than like avoiding any other kind of I don't know what it is. It's just like it's extreme. Like it triggers my fight or flight to just see them moving and know that I have to outmaneuver them.
There was one swimmer on this route who was just like spinning erratically. I didn't want to sneak by her. I wanted to fight her and get the experience, but she was just like doing quick 180s in order to try to catch me off guard. But it's like, no, I want to fight you.
And another one, I think it's swimmer Miranda. She's like, you know, when I put on this bikini, I just don't know where to put my Pokeballs.
Gross.
That's nasty.
I didn't ask for this.
I have to say, too, water Pokemon, it's one of my favorite types in the game. They're so dynamic, they're so creative, they're so beautiful. You wouldn't know that from the water routes and what, like, the water traders have, which is always, like, the most disgusting Pokemon imaginable, using, like, the most static attacks ever. It's really, like...
They're terrible.
If the water routes were really just, like, we're going to go big on, like, what water typing is and, like, really embrace this and really show you, like, what the sea has to offer, like, absolutely. But as it stands, I think they're so bad. Such a missed opportunity.
It was a lot of Wingulls, a lot of Pelipers,
Tentacruels, like usual.
a lot of Tentacruels.
Couple of folks had like Mantines and Luminion.
Luminion, who's a beauty.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful Pokemon.
Yeah.
Tentacruel fucked me up this game. The new like the new sprite for Tentacruel in Platinum made me realize a lot of things about Tentacruel, which is A, it's ugly.
Well, yeah.
B, it has a lot of tentacles.
More than you would think.
Like 15 of them.
It's like countless.
I don't know what this thing is. Is it a jellyfish? Is it an octopus?
It's a Quincepus.
Okay.
Like a a 15-legged
Yeah,
puss.
that's what it's called. You look in any textbook and it'll say that.
It's based on the Portuguese man o' war.
If you really
which is,
examine
like,
it,
I think the most poisonous jellyfish.
it's essentially a bug. Like, it's a shell with pincers, and then he's got these slimy little tentacles coming off of him.
Man, and it's got poison jab now and abusive with that move. And
Yeah.
that actually did like a surprising amount of damage to my Mon.
Oh, that's good to hear, because I have a guy who has poison jab, and I'm going to use it on you later.
At the time.
Oh, at the time, yeah. Okay.
I have to say, I'm already shaking in my boots over which one of you I'm going to have to battle later.
It's going to be Josh. My team is a joke this season, but we're having fun. We're not even Pokemon. Like, we have no business battling because we're not Pokemon. We're just men.
That's so true.
We're just men and women making our
That's
way
so
through
true.
this crazy mixed up world,
Yeah.
And my character has an incredible backstory and motivation
Oh.
that I'm sure we're going to find an organic moment later to reveal.
Well, here's the organic moment is I love to ask all the guests what their journey through Sinnoh has been like so far.
Oh, yeah.
What have you gotten up to, and who's your character, and what are they up to?
My character's name is simply Uwu, and Uwu grew up extremely, extremely rich, has lived in the lap of luxury all their life. And by the way,
Sounds
they
like one
are,
of Bree's clients.
Yeah.
well, that's the thing. They are exactly a client of Bree Von Durr.
Bought that Golduck, maybe?
Well, here's the thing. Most trainers are on a quest to catch them all. Uwu's journey is a little different. Uwu is on a journey to eat them all.
Okay.
Oh.
And
yeah.
you'll see that given that Uwu doesn't have a notebook, that he's used the Pokemon's name as a place to make notes of how he wants to eat each of the Pokemon that he has bought from Bree Von Durr. But Uwu distinctly believes that building a loving relationship with them really tenderizes the meat.
Love it.
So that's why we're moving through Sinnoh the way that we're moving through Sinnoh. It's because at the end of this all, he's just going to eat them.
I don't know if you heard, but Bree Van Dur's got a hot new specialty, Giratina, with those legs and the black ooze, if you're interested.
Oh, and there's a lot of juicy meat in those legs.
Yeah.
You steam one of those things? Ooh.
I saw Giratina and the little salt shaker in my heart tipped to a 45-degree angle and gingerly let out the flakiest, shiniest bits of Malden I've ever seen in my life.
God, Malden salt, that's the shit.
That's it's the absolute. There is nothing like a salt that you put on as a garnish.
Can I ask a sensitive question about Uwu?
Obviously,
Is it sexual at all?
It is.
It seems like it.
Like
you
the
know,
sensuous.
Uwu's enjoying eating these Pokemon fully tumescent.
In the same biology textbook where the Kinsapus is featured, it does say that the part of the brain that controls our hunger for food, and specifically to eat Pokemon, is so linked through a millimeter of synapses to the part of our brain that enjoys the carnal pleasures of life.
Wow.
Yeah, I picked up on that just from the way you were talking about it. But welcome to Sinnoh Uwu,
Thank you.
crazed, rich Pokemon eating maniac.
Mm-hmm.
Very glad to have you.
Thank you. That was the thing when Cyrus was like enslaving them. I think Uwu was just like, let's free them so we can eat them.
Yeah, let's free them into the oven.
Cyrus was into that for a different reason.
Right.
That's the thing. Uwu and Cyrus both want to kill every last Pokemon for entirely different reasons.
You're also into Team Galactic's MO because you want to create a new universe full of new Pokemon for you to enjoy eating.
I want to create a new universe full of no Pokemon because I've eaten them all. So yes, in a way, like there is a Venn diagram with a sexy, savory little sliver. But at the end of the day, Team Galactic is still very, very much the enemy. And how easy are they to infiltrate? You just stand right to the side of them in their own headquarters and they don't even notice you.
Yeah, they're not difficult to take down. And take them down we did in the what's the thing called? The reverse dimension?
Distortion world.
Oh,
Yeah, the distortion world. What did you think of the distortion world, Tony?
okay. I think that everyone goes through the same thing in the first 5 seconds of Distortion World, which is, oh, this is cool. And then by the end of it, you are truly like, this is the worst fucking thing they've ever put into any game imaginable. It is,
Yes.
it has all the frustration of a puzzle game without the commitment to like a rewarding puzzle. It's really, really bad. I would say that my version of hell is likely doing something similar to Distortion World. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. The novelty of the fact that you can like surf backwards
Yep.
and like at an angle and like walk up a wall or whatever wears off so quickly, and then you're just like, oh, I'm in this just like awful tile set with no idea where to go for like endless amount
And
of
it's
time.
just it's another boulder puzzle like we've seen time after time in all of these gens, like
Yep.
who gives a shit?
You know what it reminded me of? In Disney's Alice in Wonderland, where it just gets to that point that like weird shit is happening. And
Which
she
one,
just
live
breaks-
action, Johnny Depp?
Not live action Johnny Depp, one of the worst ever made, but the
Yeah.
animated one of the best ever made. It's like all of the weird shit is like happening around her. The dog with the broom for the face is like sweeping away her tracks, and she just breaks down and starts crying because she cannot take it anymore. That's how I felt in Distortion World when those. When you have to like go up a level and like the trees start appearing and
The
disappearing,
kelp.
and I was just like, I was like, absolutely.
I hate that shit.
Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's a nightmare, but we got through it, and now we're here.
We are here.
We're here on Victory Road.
Yeah.
Victory Road remains a challenging little chunk of Pokemon, doesn't it? And it's compounded by the fact that now it's kind of puzzly. I guess it's always been puzzly, right? It's always been like boulder puzzles, like to figure out how to push the boulders around in the right order to advance.
I feel like I wasn't that challenged in Hoenn, but here this one was pretty rough.
There was one puzzle in Hoenn that I was just like, I cannot figure out this puzzle.
Yep.
I spent like a half an hour trying to figure out a boulder puzzle in Hoenn. This one, the boulder puzzles were not terribly hard in this one.
They weren't hard, especially because the last game we played was Fire Red Leaf, or that I played was Fire Red Leaf Green. And so like Seafoam Island sort of teaches you, like there is no new mechanic between that one and this one. I would say I lost a little bit of time on the bike ramps, only to like realize like, oh, I don't actually have to do this ever.
Yeah.
And so I just ignored them and kept on.
Yeah, the only reason to do it is that I think one of them had Stone Edge, which is a great move.
Yeah, that move.
None of my Pokemon
fucked
could
me
use
up.
it, so it ultimately was pointless for me. But
That's the fucking thing about Stone Edge. None of your Pokemon can use it, and like it is the thing that like takes out that Togekiss. We'll get to that later, but like no one can learn it.
fucking like every Pokemon in the Elite Four has Stone Edge, though. And that was like a giant problem for me.
Yeah, it sucked. Wow, I'm looking at the Pokemon who can learn Stone Edge, and it's so few Pokemon.
Yeah, and I didn't understand how so many of them had it.
But boy, that move kicked my ass a few times.
Yeah.
Victory Road, for a while, I didn't have any kind of repels on because I was like, ooh, Victory Road's usually in these games, Victory Road is a place where you can catch some spicy little mon.
Yeah.
You can get some cool, new, interesting Pokemon who are high level. But this Victory Road sucked. It was all just Golbats and Gravelers and Rhyhorns.
Yeah, if you get lucky, you get like a Rhydon, a Steelix, or a Gabite. I actually spent the vast majority of my time training back at that 7 Stars restaurant and then also Route 223, the water route we were just on. Because you mostly there, you get a Pelipper or a fucking Tentacruel.
Yeah.
And they're usually like 1,000-something experience. And in here, if you get a Steelix, a Gabite, or a Golbat, and a Rhydon, fair amount of experience. But everything else, which is mostly what you get, is fucking like 500 or 600. And it's like, how? They still haven't fully solved this in these first few games where like they don't give you a solid place to train.
Yeah.
What I'd say to that, and I completely agree with that, is that I was very, very grateful that this wasn't a Nuzlocke run, because I remember when I was playing Diamond, the best way to train for the Elite Four is by immediately cashing out all of your gold on like healing items for when you like eventually like take the fight seriously, and then just like playing them and losing to them over and over and over again.
Oh, okay.
Because the actual fight or the actual like victory road thing, there aren't enough evolved forms in there to make the experience efficient. So a Nuzlocke run, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum would leave you completely in the lurch.
Oh, I can't even imagine. And I did. Don't get me wrong. I did throw myself at those Elite Four and lose a number of times.
Oh, yeah.
But
The
I wasn't
Elite
even
Four
at the right
were-
level to try it at the beginning.
Elite Four were brutal in this generation.
Oh my god. Easily the hardest one so far.
I stocked up on like a bunch of like revives and like full heals and like max potions and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, there were whole trainers in the Elite Four where it was just like, I would just have to drop a max potion just to stay in the game long enough to like let a toxic work, you know, like they were tough.
Right.
But we'll get to them in a second.
Sure.
We're still making our way through Victory Road. You know who I saw that I was into?
Who?
Who'd you see?
We've talked about this a little bit before, Josh, but there's a line that I don't like because I think they're all ugly called Magnemite, Magneton,
Magnazone.
Magnemite, Magneton.
Oh, I love that line.
But then
Sorry.
the third new evolution is called Magnazone. I think Magnazone looks cool.
Yeah, I'm into it now.
Cool. Extremely
I'm
cool.
officially into Magnazone.
And I was excited to see one. It's the first time I've seen one in the wild.
They're genuinely incredible, and I can't wait to see them in Pokemon Snap 2 and just take so many pictures of them.
Oh my god, yeah. I was going to say, I also liked, aside from the Magnazone, I liked that the trainers, I don't know who it was, but I think it was just an ace trainer. The combos that they had, one of them had like a Mamoswine and a Rampardos. Like, I remember that being a good combo.
Ace Trainer Omar
Yeah.
had Mamoswine, Mothim, and Rampardos.
That was like a good team, an interesting team.
Yeah, the trainers in
They got it right.
Victory Road are pretty cool, and for the most part, their Pokemon are not disgusting,
No.
which I like.
No, I was pretty impressed.
If there's one thing I hate, it's when the Pokemon game creators are like, how do we create something so disgusting that nobody is going to want to catch it except to complete the Pokédex?
You know, I do agree with you, Tony, that the Pokemon in Gen 4 are great. There's some really, like, very good, handsome Pokemon, and I love what they're doing with, like, evolutions where you didn't expect them, and, like, the baby versions of Pokemons where you didn't expect them.
Yep.
But there are a few truly heinous Pokemon that they've introduced this gen, and, like, one of them we encounter in Victory Road, which we've talked about before, which is Carnivine. Ugh,
Disgusting.
gosh.
Awful.
That's a disaster. Box it.
Yeah.
Carnivine. What the hell?
Carnivine was the only real heinous one I encountered. Like, Mothim is pretty handsome. Like, I even like Mamoswine. Like, I think Mamoswine looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I think Mamoswine's cool.
Yeah.
And as much as, like, I don't like Cranidos, I think Rampardos is, like, it's not bad. It's just kind of a horny dinosaur.
Ace Trainer Sydney had a Torterra. That was cool to see again. I love that one. Absol, I like. Oh, a Dusk Noir.
Glalie
we got to
kinda
see out in
sucks.
the wild.
That's an incredible Pokemon.
Yeah.
I like Porygon Z a lot. I wish there were a world
me
in
too.
which I could play a Porygon or a Porygon Z, because I think, or a Porygon 2, because I think they're all really cool.
You know, we could one of these days just not restrict ourselves with some heinous shit.
No.
And just play whatever you want.
No.
That's fun.
That doesn't sound reasonable to me.
To your point, Tanner, that's one of my favorite things about this generation is like I thought that the Pokemon they chose to give evolved forms to, from Porygon 2 to Tangela, were like really, really inspired. And like what they did with them too, like were just, I don't know, it was all just like so cool across the board.
I think that's true 99.9% of the time.
Mhm.
We will talk about my You Make Me Barf Pokemon later when we encounter it, which is this new evolution of a former
Barf?
non-evolutionary Pokemon.
Who was a barf?
And a You Make Me Barf Pokemon, yeah.
I hope it's Magmortar.
It is Magmortar. We'll talk about that when we get to it.
So disgusting.
I have a counter. I'm going to save it.
You think Magmortar's good?
I think it's cool. I think it's a
Oh,
cool
God,
design. I think
Josh.
Magmar sucks.
Yeah, and they
But
just,
I think that
they were
Magmortar-
like, how do we make Magmar still suck? And they're
But
like,
it's
well,
it's got a fucking like bazooka arm.
he looks like a Mega Man boss.
I thought it was cool.
I
What the hell?
feel like I know a lot of people that look like Magmar is my only contribution to this conversation.
They got the two
Like-
big bulbs.
Anyone on the Zoom call?
No one on this Zoom call, but I have described people as Magmar looking before, and if I'm talking to the right person, they immediately know what I'm saying, and they're like, "You're absolutely right. They do look like Magmar."
It's so interesting how much of your identity politics are tied up in looking like Pokemon.
100% of my identity politics are tied up in Pokemon. It's the only lens I recognize. That's obviously not true. I'm obviously kidding, but like it's a biggie.
Because didn't you have a nickname in college?
Oh, Agatha. Oh,
Agatha.
Absolutely. But I would say that was not my politics. That was others' politics of me.
Sure.
Like when the most conservative Democrat gets called a socialist, it's like, no, I don't necessarily identify with Agatha. Others use it to identify me.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Victory Road, we got through it and we made our way to the Pokemon League. It was a hell of a run. We had to have Golem in our party so that we could crush rocks, and we had to have Piplup in our party so that we could surf and do waterfalls.
Beautiful.
But we finally made our way to the Pokemon League, Josh, and I want to hear all about your battle with the Elite Four, starting with Aaron, the Bug-type trainer,
I'm not going to tell you.
after this break.
Yeah.
We've defeated Route 223. We've defeated Victory Road. We are on to the Pokemon League. It's the standard Elite Four setup, a little antechamber where you can heal your Pokemon at a Pokemon Center. You can do some last-minute shopping, which I took full advantage of.
Oh my god, yeah.
Blew the bank here.
Yeah.
Had to.
With how many times I know you have to lose to this Elite Four in order to beat this Elite Four, like you have to blow the bank immediately and then just like chill.
Yeah.
I also put an amulet coin on whoever I knew was the champion Pokemon, so that I got double from every single one of these fuckers.
Where'd you get the amulet coin in this game?
I didn't have the amulet coin.
Oh, you know why? Tanner, I know why you didn't. You get it in Amity Square, which you can only stroll when you have very attractive Pokemon. I got that when I took Baneri out.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me.
They were just
wouldn't let me
tossing amulet coins at her
in. Yeah.
on the promenade.
That's problematic.
Oh, like JD Rockefeller.
I was like, no, that's enough. That's enough. But that amulet coin has made me wealthy beyond Bree Van Dur's wildest dreams.
I haven't spent a ton of money this game, but I still feel like I didn't quite have enough money to really deck out my team the way I wanted to. For the Elite Four.
Apart from the millions of dollars I spent on honey so that I could catch that monkey Apom, this was the first real good, I think.
Psychological warfare.
I like a Pokemon with 5 opposable thumbs.
Examine your choices, Anthony. Look at what you've done. You've spent that much money to get a Ambipom?
Every time I examine my choices, God gives me a little kiss on the cheek. So I'm fine. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident.
I know this is a little radical structure-wise, but should we not do level check now?
Okay.
This is where my team came together.
Okay. I'm fine with it. Yeah, let's do it. Fuck it.
What I will say is that my Pokemon are a higher level now than they were going into the Elite Four.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine.
That's presumed.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to know off the top of my head each individual level, but these are the Pokemon I had. The highest level going in, I think, was 53. They were all 50 minimum.
Okay.
But I threw myself at the Elite Four, I think, 4 times before I actually won.
Yep.
I came in a little hotter than that to the Elite Four. I think most of my guys were at least level 55. Some of them were almost 60.
Oh my god.
But it still rocked my bottom, the Elite Four. They destroyed me the first time I went in there.
I keep forgetting that rock my bottom is a bad thing for straight people. I was like, oh, congratulations.
Right. So you did a good job.
Yeah, I did a good job. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Who wants to start?
Tony's the guest.
Why don't I start? Okay.
Uwu.
As I told you, Uwu uses Pokemon's name to make a note for how he wants to eat them.
Right.
So the opener on my team is Raw, the Ambipom.
Okay.
And that's just Uwu looks at its many-handed tail and is just licking his lips like a cartoon wolf when he sees a lady in a sequins dress.
He likes hand meat.
What comes out of those when you chop them up? Or how do you prepare those?
How would one prepare
palms?
those? Well, you turn the salt shaker in your kitchen at a 45-degree angle, and the Malden sea salt comes out. And when you're done breaking its neck, which
it's the most humane way to do it, people. Please do not at Anthony on this.
And it's not only a humane way to do it, just when you see Ambipom's shit-eating grin over and over and over again, it's the thing that you most want to do, so you do it right.
Sorry, what I meant is it's the least humane way to do it. They can really feel it. They really suffer. And that's what we want because Ambipom is disgusting.
Yes, I'll split the difference. It's the least humane motivation for the most humane form of Pokecide. And so Raw is the way that Uwu wants to eat the Ambipom. The Ambipom is at level 67.
Okay, that's against the rules.
Well, I know. They'll be lowered to level 62 for the purposes of battle. Please forgive me.
Wow, that's like your champion, level 67. Jesus.
That's not the only one I've got above the level limit. I've got 4 above the level limit and 2 hugely below it. So it's going to be a very funny battle. There is my starter, Empoleon, whose name is Stockbones, and Stockbones is 63.
That's going to add a fishy taste.
That's going
to any stew.
It's part steel, so are its bones not steel? Or is that part of the texture?
So
the taste?
They say that umami is the 6th flavor, but steel boiling in a pot of water with penguin bones is absolutely the 7th flavor. Hence why Uwu has decided that Empoleon is destined to be stock.
Right.
There is Togekiss, whose name is Katsu, referring to the panko fried way of eating poultry and pork.
That sounds delicious, I have to say.
No, 100%. And that's a level 67 Togekiss.
You fillet the wings off of one of those Togekisses.
Big wings. Ooh.
You batter that, you cover it in panko crumbs, you deep fry it.
And you've seen the wings, you know how fatty they are. And a mouthful of chicken fat and skin, boy howdy, that's a meal. That's the kind of meal that's basically dessert.
Yeah.
There's my Weavile. She is level 65. Her name is also Raw because ultimately, like a crudo is how Uwu likes to eat his meals.
Is the gem part of like the garnish?
The gem is meant to be gargled with a shot of gin, swallowed whole, and then thrown up later.
Yeah.
At your leisure.
So you can keep going, yeah. All right.
Yeah, no, 100%. The gem upsets your stomach to make room for the other 2 Pokemon on this team, who are Carpaccio, the Rapidash, level 40, named after an IRL horse that I ate whole within moments of landing in Montreal.
Humble brag.
Oh, it's at the airport. They're just like, here's your raw horse, sir.
Yeah, welcome to Montreal. Let's do the shittiest job of checking your passport. Here's a raw horse. Enjoy.
We got all this horse to unload, so we don't care.
It's a Rapidash. It's level 40. So as you can see, here's where the drop-off happened. And then I have Ortolan B, period, for my Staraptor at level 38. Are you too familiar with Ortolan bunting?
No, it sounds like some
I
Great
know
British
bunting
Bake Off
is
shit.
a bird.
Ortolan bunting is a songbird that in France is... think about veal and like the way that we torture veal, and Ortolan bunting is even more tortured.
Oh, wow.
They are starved and then dropped into a thing of birdseed, and they just eat and eat and eat after like weeks of not eating, and the speed with which they eat explodes themselves, and then they are cooked in like a thing of brandy and sauce, and they are the eating of them is so cruel that one of the things that is traditional is to put you eat them whole. They're tiny birds, bones and all. The
Okay.
bones poke you as a form of penance, and you're supposed to put a cloth over your face so that God can't see you.
This seems like another one where you're fully like porked out. Like
Yeah.
you've got a huge raging erection while you're doing this.
As huge as it gets, yes.
And it's good. It tastes good. Have you had
So
it?
while I've eaten a horse in Montreal,
Experienced it?
I think that I draw the line several football fields ahead of ortolan bunting, which I think like hearing about this bird and what happens to it like almost made me vegan basically. Like
Yeah, as a moral vegetarian, it's pretty troubling for me to hear.
no, yeah, it's deeply troubling. But anyway, that's exactly how Uwu wants to eat the Staraptor.
And what level is the Staraptor?
I'm not even 40, baby. It's 38.
The weird thing about that is you definitely caught the Starly at the beginning of the game, right?
Sure did. But you know what?
It's good.
If there's one thing I don't want to do, it's pretend I give a shit about Starly. So every single Pokemon game is like, you want this bird early, right? And we're always like, yeah.
They make the bird so dang handsome, though. Like, Pidgey is a handsome bird, and that line is handsome.
Ooh.
Starly is handsome.
Well, okay, here's the thing. Think about how many generations there are between Pidgey and Starly. Like, a lot of time passes.
Yeah.
I don't love the early birds in general, but like, they're fine, they're cool, whatever. They round out the team. They help you with the
Talo.
Yeah,
Talo's
Tailow's
good.
cool.
fighting. Okay, all right.
That's a little sweetie.
Agree to disagree. Oh.
Okay.
You don't have to like the birds. You just have to cover your face from God while you eat them.
That's exactly. You don't have to like the bird. You just have to like the way they taste in one bite.
Let me
Bones and all.
just say, Bree Van Durr would love to take Uwu over to that 7 Stars restaurant, and let's just go fucking to town.
Brie Von Dur's pop-up at that restaurant is called Why Just 7 Stars, and it's a 21-course meal.
You're there all day.
You are there for 4.5 hours, and just when you think you've eaten your last bite of food, Hamilton begins.
And it's the original Broadway cast, too.
Yeah. You just hear a "How does a bastard orphan?" and you whip around in your seat because the stage has been behind you the whole time, and you go, "No fucking way!" and you grab your date's hand, and you're like the original cast. Like it's a beautiful thing, and it gets them every time.
When I was on my honeymoon with my wife, we went to a place in Whidbey Island, Josh, in the Seattle area.
Puget Sound, that's a good island.
We were at a beautiful little hotel resort, and we had the fancy dinner one evening. And it was like a stage show.
Ooh.
They came out, it was like a prefix menu, and they gave us what they gave us, and we ate the food and enjoyed it. And then the dining room is beautifully, the set pieces were beautiful in the dining room. There are these little like hanging glass globes full of like succulents, like little dirt and succulents. And they were everywhere in the dining room. And then when we finished dinner, they were like, and now it's dessert course. And they came around and started clipping the hanging succulent spheres off of the ceiling and handing them out, because it turned out that they were not dirt and succulents. They were dessert.
Holy smokes.
Like chocolate and cake.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Blew our minds. It blew our minds. And I feel like that's kind of what is happening at the 7-star diner.
Well, 21 stars featuring the cast of Hamilton doing Hamilton.
Bree Van Durr, what are you dealing with this week? It seems like you've settled into a saucy little groove here.
Yeah, Bree Van Durr. You saw it. I think everyone saw it coming.
Yeah.
She kept handing out these, and making good money, by the way, handing out all of these evolutions, and she'd had enough. She closed up the farm, and she said, no, nobody else can have these because they're too good, they're too precious, and they're too exquisite, and only Bree Van Durr can have them. So Bree Van Durr's team is all evolutions now.
Really?
Yes.
She's gone full cat lady.
Cat, fox, dog, Yeah.
And she's not even going to eat one of them?
Well, Tony, she's got a whole box in her PC, and there's 10 or so EVs sitting around in there.
Mhm.
And if you want to make a deal, they could go to a worthy buyer, and I've got some stones, you got some stones. Let's see what we could do.
I don't have nearly as many stones as I want, but I do want to say, now that Uwu thinks about it, you know in the Pokemon anime when Vaporeon uses acid armor and she sort of melts and becomes water and it's like really chic and beautiful?
Yeah.
What happens if you drink half of Vaporeon?
Oh, you'll see things you've never seen before. That'll take you on a trip that you cannot believe.
And that's
part of the reason she wanted a Vaporeon.
And Uwu is willing to pay 6 nuggets and a Stardust for the chance to drink half of Vaporeon when it uses acid armor.
You have any EV eggs in your box, Bree?
Yeah, I got eggs too.
I would love to eat one of those. I think it's a delicacy in China where you eat the fertilized egg and it already has like essentially a baby chick,
Philippines,
almost fully grown. And
how fucking dare you, in my fucking presence, attribute our cruelest, most disgusting food to a country that already has several of those? How fucking dare you?
Let the Philippines have this one.
Okay. So just really quick, feel free to edit this out. I will tell the story as quickly as I can. When I was little, the bodega around the block from me, I grew up in the Bronx, was raising chickens for a cockfight, and a hen laid eggs. And I was like, Mom, can I stole the eggs, and I was like, I'm ready to reveal. And I was like, Mom, can I hold these eggs close to me all the time? And when they hatch into chickens, I raise the chickens. And my mom and my dad were like, of course, blah, blah, blah. And then, I would say, a week
Such supportive parent.
Yeah, no, a week into it, they were like, here, we, made an incubator, give us the eggs. And then, I looked in the incubator the next day, and they weren't there. And my mom and my dad had both turned them into balut, which is the dish that Tanner is describing, which is semi-fertilized growing embryos boiled while they're still inside of the eggs, eaten while the feathers and the bones have a little bit of crunch to them. And they both loved it, and they both laughed hysterically about the fact that I thought that I was going to have this this chicken coop. But that explains a lot. I digress. But yes,
that's a horrifying story.
We needed to know.
I'm so curious
Crucial
about the
origin story.
Smith family now.
What can I say? I'm the good one.
I've seen a lot of iconic Facebook posts that Tony has shared, and his family's legendary as far as I'm concerned.
They are prolific Facebook users, and I don't know, the Philippines is a country that truly pops off on Facebook every single hour of every single day, and my family is no exception.
I would love to eat some EV balut. Is my point.
I would too.
Just
I can make that happen.
A little EV embryo, a little crunch to it because of the bones. That sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got Mitchell. You know him, you love him. I think a lot of people don't. I think Jolteon is historically my favorite, but I really like the Leafeon design and playstyle. And I'm thinking maybe Leafeon is
Leafeon looks like Swamp Thing to me in a way that it feels dirty.
Mm-hmm.
I think the move style is cool. I've got Razor Leaf, which is not very good, but it will learn Leaf Blade. I think the main complaint that I'll say about all of this with the EVs is that the move pools are so bad.
So limited.
You have to spend, and that's why the amulet coin thing was so crucial to me, because I had to spend so much money and go on so many weird adventures into the woods to find random TMs and shit, and throw hundreds of thousands of dollars at the game corner in order to make these movesets. So I am going to announce what they are too. And the Leafeon one I think is pretty dope. It's going to be really sick once it gets Leaf Blade, which I don't think it's till level 71, which is insane. And then it's going to be a slaughter. But no one will ever see it.
Yeah.
So it only has Razor Leaf, but then it has Swords Dance, X Scissor. And synthesis, level 62.
I love Leafeon. It's
Razor Claw item too.
it's genuinely a beautiful Pokemon, one of those living things that looks like its own ghost. And I say that as like a huge compliment.
Yeah, I see that.
It's so beautiful and haunting. Like in a way that Glaceon is like a twink that we've seen a million times. Like Leafeon is something new.
Well, speaking of Glaceon, Fox Snow, level 62. This twink's got Ice Beam, Hidden Power, Hail, and Mirror Coat.
What element is the hidden power? Have you figured it out yet?
Steel.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to this dude in the Game Corner Prize Corner who will tell you what your Pokemon's hidden power will be.
Oh, yeah.
Iconic.
Then we have Jolteon Raiju, which has Thunderbolt. This one was a lot of work. Thunderbolt, Thunderwave, Charge Beam, which I think has been relatively useful, and then Light Screen. Hard hitter.
Yep.
Then Vaporeon, Merlion, level 62.
Mm-hmm.
And that has Surf, Aqua Ring, Toxic, and Protect. I don't know why I'm telling you two this, because you're going to use this against me.
Yeah, it's. I mean, not much we can do about it now. Our teams are set
I'm going
in
to keep
stone,
going.
But yeah.
Because I just think it's like a lot of work, because they get the same moves, and most of them are fucking bullshit. And they only get like good moves at level like 15, level like 39, and then level 57, and then level 64. And our cut for the level check was 62, and there was no chance I could have made it to 64. So with Glaceon, for example, I had to teach him Hail, even though he learns Hail at level 64. But it's like his special ability is Snow Cloak, which increases his evasiveness when there's hail. So it's like I had to teach him Hail to go into the Elite Four.
Sure.
And then we have a couple of new ones. So Infernape, Bonzo, and April Girafarig. We're sold.
Good riddance.
To good homes.
I would love to taste the cheek meat of the little
The dark soul.
evil head on the back of the giraffe rig.
That's the real delicacy.
And that's why you understand that horny and hungry are only 4 letters apart.
Only.
Only.
Especially on this podcast. And then finally, we have their replacements, Flareon, Mozilla,
Okay.
because it's a Firefox.
Right. And that's hot right now because they just redesigned their logo.
Hey, I've been a Firefox fan for a while. I still use it. I'm on it right now when I'm looking at this.
That's so stupid.
I'm a fan of the Flareon and the browser.
I can't imagine having a life so empty that you stan a browser, but go
What
off.
the hell else are you doing? What? For the past year, I became a fucking stan for Firefox.
I went to the doctor every day, so I didn't end up standing a browser. Josh.
Get a hobby, Josh.
Yeah, that's so.
well, it's this goddamn podcast.
How do you feel about the logo redesign? Are you upset about it?
I thought it was good.
Okay.
Are most people upset?
I don't know. I don't have a stance on this because I don't care about Firefox as a browser,
I
Josh.
thought it was pretty slick.
Great.
Okay, anyway, whatever. So Mozilla has Firefang, Return, Iron Tail, and Sunny Day. And then finally, Espeon Weekend Cat, in honor of the fact that Espeon has been said to be based on a Lynx, the legendary Lynx. And Weekend Cat is the legendary cat that greets all of us who follow me on Twitter, at Josh Fjellstad, and welcomes the weekend, and it's Espeon. Psychic Shadow Ball, Grass Knot, Signal Beam, favorite moveset of this whole group.
Oh, Signal Beam kicked my fucking ass.
Yeah, I learned that from the fucker Lucian, who has Espeon, and then I got Signal Beam in the survival area on Battle Zone.
Josh, can I ask you a gay little question?
Of course.
So, Weekend Cat is not named Friday Cat?
No, because it's greeting the weekend.
Do you
But it
follow
appears
Josh
on Friday.
on Twitter? Tony?
I do follow Josh on Twitter, which is part of why I just every time I see what I now know to be named Weekend Cat, I always think there's Friday Cat. I'd better throw it some engagement based on how much I like this one. And so I'm shocked to learn that it's Weekend Cat.
The scientific name is Weekend Cat.
It does happen on Fridays.
It appears on Friday, but it's greeting the weekend.
That's beautiful. What a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
All right.
And speaking of beautiful things, let's hear about Steve.
Steve Human is not a Pokemon trainer. He's a human being who's on an epic road trip across the Sinnoh region with his drinking buddies. He's not a Pokemon trainer. He doesn't have any Pokemon on his team. He just has humans.
It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful story.
It's like The Hangover 3.
The most beautiful of all the hangovers. It had the least jokes, which made it the most emotional for me.
The academics say this. They say Shakespeare invented all the stories, and every story is just derivative of Shakespeare, except for Hangover 3, which is the first unique story in 400 years.
Right. Common knowledge.
And that's kind of what Steve Human's on. Steve Human is road tripping across Sinnoh. His first drinking buddy is Mr. Chuck, tan growth, level 62. All my Pokemon are level 62, so I'll stop saying the level now.
Beautiful.
Mr. Coheed is my Snorlax. These two are old favorites. You've seen them. You love them.
Yeah.
Ms. Taylor, Licky Licky.
Yeah.
Ms. Poston, Toxicroak. And then Mr. Cass, Mr. Mime, is back in the mix.
Wow.
Very curious to see how he'll do in our battles in a little bit, but...
And did you run Mr. Cass against the Elite Four?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I did. Because I was curious to see how he would do. I was curious to see... He's got these powers. He's got 3 powers in particular. One called Light Screen, which diminishes special attacks for 5 turns.
Sure does.
He's got one called... I don't remember the name of it, but it diminishes physical attacks for 5 turns. And then he's got one called Safeguard, which prevents entirely status-changing attacks for 5 turns. So my thought was, let's get him in here. Let's make him the boss babe of the team and get him up front and drop all these things. And then dunk and let the other Pokemon come in and cause ruckus.
That's smart.
The other reason was because Mr. Cass, we had to go find his wife.
Right.
We've got the National Pokedex. We went to Snow Point Temple. We delved to the depths of it. We saw Regigigas. We were not able to catch Regigigas because you need to catch the other 3 Regis first, and I was not willing to do that. But there is another Pokemon lurking around Snow Point Temple, and it's Mr. Koss's wife, Mrs. Koss. And congratulations.
Oh, that's nice.
I believe your name was Robin Koss, for having 2 Pokemon on my team named after you.
And the first ever Mrs.?
Yep, married to Mr. Koss, Mrs. Koss, Jinx.
Wow. This is quite a...
What a team. Look at that. Tangrowth, Snorlax, Licky Licky, Toxicroak, Mr. Mime, Jinx. Beautiful team. It's like poetry.
I prefer to eat less problematic Pokemon than Mrs. Robin.
Yeah.
Mrs. Cass.
Well, Mrs. Robin to me. That's how I learned it.
So that's the team I went into the... Well, I didn't have Jinx at the time. Jinx was Roserade when I was going through the Elite Four.
Yeah, we should go into the Elite Four probably.
In college, like, I'm someone who played a lot of Pokemon, and...
They called you Agatha, in fact.
Yes, exactly. And the Gen 4 Elite Four was the first ever Elite Four that I struggled with. And I want to talk a little bit about why. Like, the first time I play any game, I don't do it with a walkthrough. I don't, like, look for what's ahead or anything like that. 2 of the 3 starting Pokemon of the game, which are theoretically the ones that you spend the most time with, end up getting a 3rd form that is weak to Garchomp, right? Like, Infernape, obviously, Infernape would have been anyway, even if, like, it didn't get fighting. But, like, strangely, Empoleon gets a Steel typing. And that steel typing that Empoleon gets ends up making it extremely vulnerable to back-to-back Elite Four battles, right? One from the fire trainer who suddenly, Flint, who suddenly gets attacks on Empoleon that aren't, like, Empoleon doesn't resist it, and then, like, also to all of the earthquakes in the final battle. Like, it's really a nightmare.
The earthquakes are tough. Yeah.
They're really tough.
Yeah.
For some reason, Cynthia didn't give me a ton of trouble. The one I really struggled with was Bertha, of all the people.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
That was the joke for me.
Yeah, joke for me as well.
Bertha was tough. Weirdly, Aaron was tough too, because at the time I had 2 plant-type Pokemon on my team, Roserade and Tangrowth.
Yeah.
So the bug types kind of got through me too. I feel like the Elite Four got easier as I went on.
Oh, my trouble was actually, well, in my first 2 runs, Aaron was the problem, because I had, as you can all tell, I've been selling Pokemon from my team and then having to replace them with EVs that I'm raising from level 1.
Okay.
So Flareon was my lowest level EV.
Oh,
It took me until the second try that I was like, oh, Yan Mega, first of all, is a monster with that speed boost ability.
Oh, God, that speed boost
Like,
ability is brutal.
It actually killed Flareon even when it was same level, 49. And it would use U-turn, which is a move I love, because
I love U-turn.
throws 80 damage at you and then it swaps out.
Yep.
Fucking great. And so I just started opening with Glaceon, which seemed obvious in retrospect, and just threw in. It does some shit at me because it's Glaceon's so slow, and then Ice Beam.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually Lucian was the worst one.
Lucian, the psychic type
Yeah,
trainer.
Lucian was a nightmare because of Alakazam and Gallade.
Yeah, Gallade was tough.
Oh my god, and the Espeon too. What am I talking about? You would think I would just throw my Espeon out that has both. Well, now it has Signal Beam. At the time, it only had Shadow Ball, but all of Lucian's Pokemon has fucking Shadow Ball, basically.
Mhm.
So I can't really use Espeon against him, and then I had to basically rely on just throwing Jolteon out there and just thunderbolting fucking all of them. Because Jolteon's my fastest one and just hits every single one.
I had a Shadow Claw abuser.
That was like the main thing. I think like Flint was Flint's Magmortar, which we've talked about, was a disaster.
Okay, do you want to talk about it a little bit more? Because Flint's Magmortar was my You Make Me Barf Pokemon of the week. They invented 2 new Pokemon for this evolutionary line. Formerly, it was just Magmar, who's ugly. But now they're like, let's make an even uglier little one called
Oh, Magby.
Magby.
Well, I hate Magby.
Is Magby this generation too?
No, Gen 2.
Yeah.
Gen 2.
Magby and Elekid are both Gen 2.
We've had Magby for a while.
But then they added Magmortar.
Yeah, they added the dummy thick Magmortar this generation.
Magmortar is dummy thick. I think it's ugly, Josh, but you think it's beautiful and you love it and you want to marry it.
Maybe it was Stockholm Syndrome.
Describe why you want to marry Magmortar.
I just think that with the design of Magmar, you have nothing to work with. And I think that Magmortar brings something to the table where it's like, it's just got like a fucking giant, like, artillery arm.
They're all the
Really
same
cool.
to me.
I'm not gonna use it.
But he's still got the same egg
And it's got
body and chicken
Thunderbolt.
legs.
It's got a good moveset. It was a fucking nightmare for me, man.
Nasty.
That killed more of my Pokemon probably than any of the other ones. I think.
Nasty.
Solar Beam, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Hyper Beam. Nightmare.
The way I see it, Magmar is a himbo, and Magmortar is a himbo with a gun. And there's nothing more dangerous, is what I've learned. If it didn't scrub it out and like try to solar beam my Empoleon, allowing it the 2 turns it needed to surf it to death, like it would have been a problem.
Yeah, I think I was fortunate that Ms. Taylor had Surf for most of Flint, but definitely for Magmortar.
Yeah.
Let's very quickly talk about the Elite Four. There's Aaron, he's a bug type.
Mm-hmm.
He's got Yanmega, Scizor, Vespiquen, Heracross, and Drapion.
Yeah.
I think bug Pokemon are the coolest type of Pokemon. Second, maybe only to Poison. It's like each generation showing off like the thoughtfulness of it. I think that he's a really flavorful trainer. Yanmega is a fascinating Pokemon to open with. It's really cool.
I think Vespiquen's kind of a cool Pokemon.
Yeah, I would have used Yanmega if I was like unleashed from these restrictions. I think Yanmega's really cool. I think his whole team's cool.
I think his whole team's cool.
I agree. Bug goes from like fucking shit from Gen 1 into like, I mean, I feel like the pinnacle, although Gen 8 has a couple of great ones like Orbeetle, but like, I think the pinnacle is kind of Gen 5. Is that when Volcarona comes in?
Sure is.
Who's that?
Volcarona is this hot little
fire
volcano little moth, and it's beautiful, and we stand.
Yeah.
And then from there we have Bertha, who's the ground and rock type trainer. She's got Wishcash, Gliscor, Golem, Hippowdon, who was runner-up for You Make Me Barf. Gross. Looks like a corpse rotting in the sand.
What do you think about Rhyperior, though?
Rhyperior kicked my little butt this week.
Its name
I think Rhyperior is a cool design.
He looks like he's wearing a flak jacket.
I think it's a cool design. I think its name is a little Nazi for me.
The name is bad. Absolutely.
Well, Rhyperior... What's Nazi about that? Am I missing something?
Like superiority, supremacy is part of it.
Yes.
The fact that like if Rhyperior rhymed with superior, I'd allow it. But they were like, let's go out of our way to make sure that everyone knows what this Pokemon's politics are.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
From there, we've got Flint, who we met back in Sunny Shore City.
Trying to cheer up Volkner.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a Houndoom, a Flareon, a Rapidash, an Infernape. Beautiful team up until you get to Magmortar.
I just want to say really quickly, that plot about cheering up the last trainer is one of the most ham-fisted things of all time.
It's so pointless. It's just like, you all know that we just went through hell with Mount Coronet and Team Galactic HQ, Distortion World. Why, like, just put him in the gym? Who gives a shit?
What I will say about this game is there's a lot of, like, finding the trainer somewhere else. So you think about, like, Gold, Silver, and, like, having to get the medicine so that like the steel gym opens up and like how long and involved that is. And then you think about this game, which you just like find them in some other house in the exact city that they're in and talk to them and the gym will open. And it's like this added one act, like they keep on trying to like put a little hat on the turd that is just like find them and talk to them and the gym opens. And this was the stupidest hat of them all.
Well, especially because like the lighthouse, nothing happens there.
Nothing happens.
You just go there and it's one level and you just talk to whoever it is.
Like it's that famous ground floor lighthouse. Like it's so bad.
Like we've encountered lighthouses before and they've been interesting and they've been compelling and like I don't even remember which trainer it was back
Olivine
in
City.
Gen 2, yeah.
Jasmine again. Oh, I guess she's attracted to lighthouses. Yeah.
She loves a lighthouse town, but like again, this is a ground floor. You open the lighthouse, he's there, and he's like, "Oh, I'd better go to the gym." And it's like, is this an RPG? Like that was so easy.
Yeah, I also thought it was like so phoned in that it's pointless.
Next up was Lucian, Mr. Mime, Espeon, Bronze Dong, Alakazam, and Glade. Glade gave me trouble. That was pretty much the only one here who gave me any real trouble.
I'd say maybe Bronzong gave me the most trouble, but like Bronzong's also just like a threatening Pokemon.
Psycho Cut was challenging. Psycho Cut and Stone Edge would sometimes take me out in one hit. Like even Snorlax, who has 1,000,000 hit points, would take a Psycho Cut, and if it was a crit, would get one-hitted.
That Psycho Cut is so it is emblematic of the splitting of like physical attack and special attack for each type.
Totally.
That is the move that is like, wow, they really made a psychic physical attack feel like a psychic physical attack.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that was the same problem with, well, I guess we're about to come to that, but with Lucario with
on Cynthia's team.
Aurasphere, motherfucker.
Oh my
Cynthia's team
God.
is Spiritomb, Roserade, Melodic, Lucario, Togekiss, and Garchomp.
Tony Kiss. It's me, you guys.
Her team didn't give me any trouble until Lucario and Garchomp a little bit, but Lucario is tough. Extreme Speed's a pretty brutal move. Aura Sphere is a pretty brutal move.
Yeah, Aura Sphere is like a nightmare.
Mm-hmm. It felt like no matter who I swapped in for Cynthia's Lucario, she had a counter. Like, there was no one on my team who was safe against the shit she was running.
Yeah, I feel like even for the monotype trainers preceding her, the whole theme with this Elite Four is that they finally figured out that, like, oh, let's make sure that all of these Pokemon have, like, every single move basically as a different type, a different counter.
Yeah.
Anything obvious, like, you would think, okay, Lucario, I'll throw a Psychic in there, which I did originally. Espeon, RIP.
But then it's got Shadow Ball.
And the Shadow Ball. And then you think, like, oh, all right, well, I'm going to throw Flareon in there. Fire. Stone Edge.
Yeah, she's the Lucario's brutal.
And it's the same
just
for
like
all
it's got a
these
counter
shits.
for everything. Yeah.
Although I will say, like, once I made it through Lucario, Spiritomb, and Milotic, and then Togekiss, Roserade, and Garchomp come out, then it was like a shit show because I had Glaceon, whose special attack is insane. And the defense is so high that Garchomp even throws an Earthquake and it does like 25%.
Really?
And I just Ice Beam. Oh, I maxed. Here's another hint. I maxed Glaceon's defense and special defense.
Horrifying.
Great. I'm looking forward to fighting that.
So it's like a tank.
So yeah, that's the Elite Five.
Effectively, yes.
Who was your guys' least favorite and who was your most favorite?
Cynthia was and is, I think, the hardest trainer that the game has ever created. In addition to a well-rounded, extremely strong team, she also seems to have an endless supply of full restores.
Oh God, the full restores, so brutal.
And she deploys them at like she has a telenovela showrunner's penchant for drama with how she deploys them.
It's always the thing where it's like something will have like 4 hit points and you're like, all right, well, I'm just going to throw like a Vine Whip at it or whatever. Like I'm going to do the least effective move because like, who cares? And then she drops the full restore and it does like 10 damage. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Cynthia.
Yeah.
It's really something else.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I agree with Tony that Cynthia is the hardest one I've fought so far. And also, I should have said with the Togekiss, that's Joshy's sweetie. Yeah, it seems pretty obvious.
Because that sweet tender meat.
Look at this thing. I like that its beta design made it look like a jet plane, like the Concorde was also really cool. And I do like that design more, but this one is just a sweetie.
Do you remember when last I was here in your oral house and I extolled the virtues of Togekiss and we looked at some Togekiss porn?
Yeah.
And, like, it really is a
grew on
beautiful
me.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful Pokemon.
Beautiful.
That was really, I think, subconsciously what laid the groundwork for me now admitting that Togekiss is a sweetie.
I think last time I named you, your nickname last time, Tony, was Tonepi.
Yeah.
So you've fully evolved now into Togekiss.
I've evolved. You made me happy and you gave me a shiny stone. And now I'm Togekiss.
We're kind of running out of time. We were going to kind of get into the end game a little bit and talk about like going and getting the national decks and going and visiting places like the Trophy Garden and Snowpoint City and Snowpoint Temple, which is where I picked up Jinx. But kind of think we're out of time, Josh. We should just save that for next week when we're chasing waterfalls.
Yeah, we're just going to we're going to chase all the waterfalls next week. And I think we're just going to have to settle this on the showdown.
If you're both prepared for that, we will do our standard setup where Josh and I battle to see who the supreme champion of experience share is. It's going to be Josh. And then Josh will battle Tony to see who the supreme champion of all Pokemon is.
Let's do it.
Are we prepared to do that now, gentlemen?
Let's do it.
All right, well, we'll be back in a second to tell you if there was anything spicy that happened during the battle between me and Josh or to kind of relay the outcome of that battle to all of you bug catchers. We will see you in just a moment.
Round 1, fight.
Josh, you, once again this season, I think you've beaten me every time we've battled this season.
I mean, I have lost, but not to
And
you.
you once again handily destroyed me.
Humans versus Pokemon doesn't really work out.
The two things I had going for me were Jinx's Perish Song, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, that took out my Glaceon, but at the point that it was doing it, I managed to kill Jinx because this is where that hidden power Steel came into play. I used hidden power against Jinx, killed it, and then I had one turn left until Perish Song, and then I managed to pop off an Ice Beam on your Tangrowth and killed that in one hit, and then Glaceon went down.
Yeah.
Glaceon slaps.
So Mr. Cass came in first, Mr. Mime, who dropped a safeguard so that you couldn't do status changing effects on my team, which was nice for a little bit. And then Tangrowth knows block, so I could toxic you and then block you from exiting the battle.
Yeah, that was good.
Or block you and then bring in Jinx and have Perish Song drop on you so that you can't leave battle, which is my two like big meta swing moves. But a bunch of normal type Pokemon cannot hold up against specialized Pokemon with moves that are designed to kill normal type Pokemon. So once again, you've defeated me in battle. You are the supreme champion of Experience Share a Pokemon podcast this season. I bow to you, and now that I am a vassal to you, I am counting on you to defeat Anthony Smith.
Yeah, and wrest control of Experience Share back from Vox, which controls it because Alana defeated us last time.
Yeah.
So,
Anthony, having just watched that battle, how are you feeling about your odds against?
He's got some tricks. He's really got some tricks.
Although you've seen the tricks now.
I'm feeling okay.
I feel like the Vaporeon trick, really reveals my cards with the toxic Aqua Ring and Protect combo.
We'll see what happens. I'm really excited.
All right, let's see what happens. We will be back in just a second to tell you what the outcome of the battle between Uwu and Bree Van Durr is. See you soon. Here's what just happened. Josh and Tony battled, and Tony didn't adjust his team. He had adjusted down his overpowered Pokemon to level 62, but he did not adjust up his underpowered Pokemon to level 62. So he was handily defeated, quickly defeated by Josh, but we realized the error because he had some level like 38s on his team. So we insisted that he leveled everyone up to 62 within Pokemon Showdown.
Yeah.
Having done that, he already knew Josh's moveset. He predicted Josh's moves.
And then I graciously, by the way,
It was, I would say, far from graciously. You were whining like
said that we should do another battle so that all of his Pokemon were at the same level 62.
I have never heard someone whine so much.
Can I say I graciously responded to that, and can this one be just for fun? And the first one be official. Tanner, did I not say that?
Yeah.
Yes. So
here's where we're at now is Joshua handily beat Tony in the first game. Tony just annihilated Josh in the second game.
Because he knew all my moves.
Now they're going to have the opportunity to change their orders around.
Yeah.
And they're going to battle again with their current teams, which are both 62 across the board.
Yes.
And as soon as you two are ready,
yes,
as soon as your teams are adjusted, let's get into it.
I just changed my order, and I'm ready to go.
We will see you in a second, bug catchers.
Let's go.
Josh, I've never seen you saltier.
I spent...
Josh, why are you so mad at me?
You were genuinely angry.
I did this shit because I thought that we were trying to do a theme team. And I guess, Tanner, you know what this is like because you've been doing it for all of the seasons so far.
Yeah, you just have to.
I cannot live
go,
like
Josh.
this. This is not my personality.
You have to let go.
Where I can have a theme team and like I do all this shit where I spent literally 20 hours in the past week building out this Eevee team, and then I just get crushed.
Yeah, you got creamed.
I'm not playing like this ever again.
Absolutely creamed.
Weavile killed 5 out of 6 of my Pokemon.
While it was toxic.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm going to eat all of these Pokemon tonight.
Have mine.
So that's it.
Have mine.
That's it.
Weavile was
They're worthless anyway.
devastating to you, Josh. You toxicked it. It was living on borrowed time, but it had Sword Dance, which doubled its attack, and then Night Slash. Oh, just
Night Slash
brutal.
is a nightmare, and Tony and I were doing like in our head the like woman like calculating meme where I was trying to figure out like, okay, is Tony now, because he opened with obviously Swords Dance, is he now going to use a move against me, or is he going to do another Swords Dance, which fucked me in the last game? And then I ended up just going for Surf,
and you lost.
And I should have just gone for Protect, and he did Night Slash, and then it was just a nightmare.
Because Tony, your Weevil is also quick as hell.
Yeah.
It's faster than my Jolteon, which is like, I don't know, 200 speed? Like faster than that thing?
The Weavile opening in Gen 4 was a staple of competitive play because, like, if you don't have an answer to it, your team is just fucking dead. So if you see it, you have to, like no setup, no nothing. You have to, like, swing for it.
Apparently. I think in retrospect, I overanalyzed and got, like, 2 4D chess in my head about what you would do. And I should have just put Flareon up front again and tried to just get in one Fire Fang, and that probably would have done it.
Yeah, sure.
But alas.
Yeah, it was brutal. And you're the Supreme Pokemon Champion, and you now have to, I guess you're going to have to fight with Alana Oken to figure out, because right now Vox owns Experience Share Pokemon podcast, but
we'll get it back someday.
I have to say, this podcast is one of the things that, like, really and truly brings me so much joy in my life. If I beat her, I will make sure that my first act as Supreme Champion of this podcast is to give it back over to you. I really think the world of the two of you. You're so funny. You're so great. And I really feel privileged to be here.
What is this? Where is this coming from?
Well, yeah.
You feel bad for Josh? You don't have to feel bad for Josh.
If I ever felt bad for Josh, have my brain fucking scanned for, like, the baddest COVID.
How about you promo yourself about how people can find you and our podcast, I guess, going forward?
I will say, if you enjoyed even like a sliver of this, please follow me on the social channels. On Instagram, I'm Anthony Brian Smith, because I was hacked and my screen name was changed. But on Twitter, I'm Anthony BL Smith.
Yeah.
When last we spoke, I think I only had one installment of my escape room. By this moment that
I think you were on 2.
You're on 2.
Yeah.
By this moment, the trilogy is complete. I'm not even embarrassing to say, but I have submitted it for 2 Webbies.
Hell yeah.
And so if you liked any of this, go to my Twitter. It's in my pinned tweet. Play it, tell me what you think of it, and just send good vibes my way because I would love to win.
Vote for him for a Webby, and if you're on the Webby board, just give Tony the Webby for Christ's sake.
Just give me the Webby. Who else are you going to give it to?
Yeah, what is even going on the internet anymore? Nothing.
That's true.
And yeah, that's all I've got for you.
Thank you for joining us, Tony.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for donating your time.
No, it's really my pleasure.
You're the Supreme Pokemon Champion. We pale in comparison to you. God bless you. God bless America. Tony, Joshua, this has been Experience Share Pokemon Podcast. I have been Tan Mega, aka Tanner Greenring. I'm joined as always by my co-host Garchosh, aka Joshua Fjellstead, and we are joined, as you heard, by Tony Smith, aka Tony Kiss. Please do rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts. Follow us everywhere that you follow podcasts, be that Stitcher or Spotify or Overcast or wherever. And do follow us on social media as well, at EXPSharePod on Twitter and Instagram.
And Tony at Anthony BL Smith on Twitter.
On Twitter, but Anthony Brian Smith on Instagram because someone hacked my Instagram and changed them so they were different.
That's it, Joshua. Tony, I will see you again soon.
Yeah.
Please feel free, if you're doing a Nuzlocke run of Heart Gold, Soul Silver, I'd love to be a part of that.
We're probably going to do something like a Nuzlocke run.
We will do some
slightly
kind of
more complicated
modification to a Nuzlocke run, and we should say, yes, we are doing the proper Chasing Waterfalls episode next week.
Yep.
We'll do Battle Zone and all of that. And then we
we've
have
got
a bonus episode.
Secret bonus episode that I did accidentally reveal on my other podcast.
I saw that on the subreddit, so you might as well just say who it will be.
No, go listen to that show if you want to know who it's going to be.
Oh, okay. We'll leave it for a secret.
Yeah. So go listen to that if you want to know what the secret is. But otherwise, we will see you next week for Chasing Waterfalls. And then we will see you the week after that for that special bonus episode. And then it's on to Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So pick up those carts while you can. Bug catchers. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Smell you later.
I can't wait for this podcast episode to become Exhibit A in a case against you.